Hello, awesome people. I hope you're having a great day today. Today we're taking a look at Gail Z. Martin and her husband Larry N. Martin's short story Ruin Creek. It was published in 2015 in the collection The Weird Wild West from 2015 that we've been taking a deep dive into. It is the third short story in this collection. It's about 30 pages long, and it took me about 50 minutes, about probably a little bit more, like 55 or 56 minutes last night for me to read it. This is the collection that we've been doing a deep dive into, which I will link to you in the comments below. We've been doing a deep dive into Weird West, which makes sense because the Weird West is the synergy, a genre label for old classic Western set in the Old West setting. With fantasy elements or horror elements or science fiction elements, or in this case, all three. It has, and I've been doing a deep dive into the Weird West after watching the 104 episode Wild Wild West series from the 60s. That's science fiction, Western, spy, and steampunk. And I really enjoyed that, and I've been doing a deep dive into it. I watched the TV show Legend from UPN in the mid-90s. I also just finished The Adventures of Briscoe County Jr., which is my next place I'm going to. I've read comics, and now I'm doing a deep dive into short stories. And I picked up this collection to do a deeper dive. I started with Robert E. Howard's Terror from the Mound, and this is now the third, so I've done four short stories in a row for you on a Sunday that I've reserved for the genre. Since I review short stories in fantasy, horror, and science fiction, this makes total sense. Just combining those three with the Old West stuff. So it's a Western. So it makes sense. It definitely is on cue, and I haven't read that much stuff in here, so I'm definitely enjoying myself so far. Now, I mentioned before that this 30-page short story by the Martins is all three genres of the Weird West. For example, it has science fiction. It has an alien. Its key setting is an alien spaceship that has crashed in the Old West setting, and our two main characters are using high-tech weapons from Tesla's shop to fight against them. And then we have horror aspects from ghosts and spirits. And the setting for this is Ruin Creek. That is a ghost town that has been abandoned for a while now, and it's haunted, and you will actually see how it's haunted as a part of this. So that's a horror tropes. And then there's magic. For example, there's magic in here too for the fantasy aspects, including a shaman from the Navajo tribe, who's a key character in here as well. Now, the key core concept of this is a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed this. And this is actually my favorite story, including comics, that I've read in this genre so far. And it's the first one I'm giving an 8 to. And I really enjoyed it, which is rare. I loved this short story so much. And so basically, the key core concept of this is that you have two characters that are for the U.S. Department of Supernatural Investigations, and they go out there and they investigate supernatural phenomena, magical, scientific, or horror, and then they investigate it, and then they do stuff. Right? They'll bring stuff back, they'll answer it, and so forth. And so they are investigating an airship crash. In this story that was brought to their attention by the shaman that I mentioned earlier from the Navajo tribe, which is pretty cool. So I really enjoyed it. It was about 30 pages long. It had great world building in it. Good. The phraseology in it is good too, and I definitely thought that the 30 pages suited it. It felt to me like it was the first short story in a series of stories, like the first short story that opens up like a collection of short stories that features these two characters. I liked them. I liked their dynamic and their character development that happens over the course of the short story, and I was really hoping for a collection of these. That were kicked off by the two married authors. Now, Gail Z. Martin is a big name in fantasy right now. She got her first novel published in 2007, and since then she's published a lot of novels and short stories in speculative fiction, steampunk, historic fiction. She's a lot of urban fantasy, a lot of epic fantasy too. She's probably most well known for the Chronicles of the Necromancer series. She has recently started co-writing things with her husband, Larry N. Martin. But that's more of a recent phenomenon. But she's a big name author right now, and she has a lot of stuff. And this is my first time I've ever read anything by Gail. And like I said, I loved it, and I would be more than happy to see this this collection become an actual proper collection of stuff starting to features, starting the Department of Supernatural Investigations in the Old West settings, in the Victorian era in the U.S. I think that's a lot of fun, and I think there's a lot of fun things you could do with it. So I really enjoyed this a lot. There you go. I've gone ahead and exhausted my notes on the that I always type out for these. So there you are. I'll go ahead and leave you to it. Have you read Ruin Creek by the Martin couple? If so, what did you think of it? Did you agree or disagree with any of my thoughts or takes in any way, shape, or form? I would be more than happy to engage you with it further in the comments below, whatever your thoughts are. If you enjoyed this video, why not hit that subscribe button? There'll be a lot more of these to follow. And then finally, I want to thank you so much for taking some time out of your day and investing it and watching my video. We all have so many things that are happening in our lives, and we're pulled in so many different directions. So the fact that you spent this time with me is incredibly humbling, and I appreciate it. So thanks again, and have an amazing day.